What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49K podcast. We are back after a long hiatus. I'm so sorry. It was mostly my fault. I mean, I was in the middle of a move and, life happens. So we're just very excited to be back. You guys know me. I'm Stragosaurus. And then here with me is my co-host,
And
Angie.
right.
And
What's
right.
up, Sam?
Right.
We're happy to be back, Steph. I'm happy that your move went well. You escaped this California heat. I don't know how hot it is in Colorado, but
it's way hotter.
Oh, really?
It is way hotter, man.
It's probably like more humid.
It's drier.
Oh, well then you just got the short end of the stick.
I did, yeah, but staying inside and with the AC, so it's not too bad. But we've got a lot to talk about today, since we have been away for so long, since training camp started this week. So we're just gonna get right into it. But before we do that, usually at this point we would do the This Week in 49ers history. Instead of doing that, I wanted to just quickly talk about Greg Knapp, who sorry, my cat just came over here.
You know me and my dog.
But yeah, I just want to talk about Greg Knapp, who he was the Jets quarterback coach under Robert Saleh, and he was also the former 49ers offensive coordinator. He recently passed away from a horrific bike accident in Walnut Creek. He spent 9 years with the 49ers from 1995 to 2003, working his way from offensive quality control to quarterbacks coach and then to offensive coordinator. So, he contributed many years in San Francisco, and our thoughts go out to his family and friends. Really sad stuff.
He was also a quarterback at Sac State and coached there for a while. So I know, for someone to start their professional coaching career in San Francisco, I know that hit a lot of people that have been in San Francisco for a long time pretty hard, and just such a tragic way for him to go and so young. You hear of cyclists like that happening to them a lot. So that was just so sad to hear about.
Yeah, scary stuff if you're a bicyclist, especially here in the Bay Area, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Could get sketchy.
Did it happen in the Bay?
Walnut Creek.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So crazy. It's crazy stuff.
I didn't know that. So even closer to home.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so our thoughts go out to his family and his friends. But moving on to some news around the league. Man, Aaron freaking Rodgers, man. Like he was the whole talk of the offseason. Was he going to be traded? Was he going to hold out? It came down to the wire. And then, on Tuesday, all 49er fans kind of sighed in frustration because he actually reported to camp. It's like, why didn't you retire, Aaron? Go enjoy your new wife or something.
Are they married yet?
I think so. I thought so. I don't know.
But, I can't keep up.
I
was gonna say though, was it disappointment? Because I mean, we own his ass in the playoffs. So
I mean, yes, but could you imagine how much easier it would have been if it was just Jordan Love,
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, that's way less scary. I thought it was interesting, because listening to his press conference, it basically sounded like he just wanted more respect from the organization, and he wanted to play a bigger role, like a front office role, it sounds like, which I know a lot of teams, they use. That's one of the biggest parts about recruiting, is using your stars and using that star power. In this case, using Aaron Rodgers to get people to want to come to Green Bay. So that was really surprising to hear that they don't do that, and they don't let him in on that process at all. Because like you said, that if I were an NFL player or, someone that was looking to sign somewhere, I would definitely, that would be a draw to me to go play in Green Bay, despite it's disgusting snow there all the time.
I mean, especially if you're as big a star as Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, you would think he would get that respect. And like even before the whole like Watson ordeal, like that's kind of what he wanted out of the Texans org as well, right? So similar situation. Same with Russell Wilson. He kind of wanted a little more control, not so much of the personnel, but a little more of the offense. So
yeah, and
it's
he
interesting.
said something that struck me because of the quarterback situation in San Francisco is that
Yeah.
he just wanted to know what was up with his position and what their plans were, and it seems like that's like in contrast with how San Francisco has handled it. It seems to the outside eye that they have very much kept Jimmy G in the loop with their plans and where they see his future going. So that was kind of interesting to see how much better our front office and coaching staff is than Green Bay.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point right there. Another thing that happened is the NFL announced new COVID rules. So they sent out a memo last week saying that if a game cannot be rescheduled during the 18-week schedule due to a COVID-19 outbreak, and here's the important part, among unvaccinated players, the team with the outbreak will forfeit and be credited with a loss. So they're not trying to add a 19th week. I mean, last year they bent over backwards to reschedule games, and to me, I'm wondering what constitutes as cannot be rescheduled, right? Because if they bent over backwards last year, you know, they could technically do it this year. Are they just saying they're not
Right.
wanting to do that this year?
We're not going through that again. Here's kind of like what my thoughts on it were, because the guidelines from public health, the CDC, like if you're vaccinated, you don't have to quarantine as long or even if at all if you're exposed to COVID-19 or if you test positive, the quarantine time is way less if you're asymptomatic. So I think my thought is they're just trying to streamline the rescheduling process. And, if it's someone that's unvaccinated that has to go through all these hoops and hurdles to get back into the game, like I don't think they want to deal with it. And it's much easier this time around to work around those people that have been vaccinated if you're going by the guidelines that are, for the whole country. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I think it makes sense. One thing John Lynch mentioned is that the team is roughly 90% vaccinated. One thing we saw
Roughly.
One thing we saw today, at least, was there are two players who they had some pressers today, and Jason Verrett, I think, was one player who came out with a mask on, which would hint that he is unvaccinated, as well as Nick Bosa, which is no surprise, right? If we know anything about Nick Bosa. Also, Josh Hokett, fullback, he was also, I think, expressing, some.
Yeah, he posted on his Instagram story, right? Saying that the rules were dumb. But I don't know what he meant by that, because like all that post that he shared said was that an NFL coach tested positive for COVID and was asymptomatic even though he was vaccinated, which we all know can happen. So
right.
I don't know. I mean, it's complicated for everyone. It's complicated for everyone in the world right now, let alone trying to play a professional sport where you're like hitting each other. Like they're doing the best they can, but for those people that don't want to get vaccinated, it must be like frustrating.
Yeah.
But I would just get vaccinated, but I don't care what people do. But just for me, I would be like, screw this, I'm not dealing with it.
Right. Which was interesting. I think Emmanuel Sanders kind of had that same idea too. He's like, he posted his vaccination card and was like, I don't have time for the BS or something like that.
Yeah, literally, like
yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good for the team that they're at roughly 90%.
So okay, that's my other question. Does roughly mean that they have hit that threshold, or does that mean they're just below it?
I don't know. Roughly is roughly.
Roughly is roughly. They're almost there. That's what I'm gonna go with.
If I'm taking this from like GM speak, I would say it's probably just below.
Yeah. Come on, Bosa. Get him to the 90.
Wouldn't hold my breath.
He said he hasn't made a decision about it yet. Which
but that's what they're all saying, right?
Have like 8 months. Yeah.
Yeah, so we know what that means. But,
Yeah, we'll see.
no judgment, but yeah.
No.
All
I'm
right.
pro-choice, baby. Okay.
Moving on to some 49ers news. We got some really exciting stuff right before training camp opened. Fred Warner got his extension, a 5-year deal up to $95 million, including $40.5 million guaranteed. He is now the highest paid linebacker in the league. Before I go into anything else and like the logistics of his contract, I just want to say some people were making a big deal about a linebacker making this much money in this economy?
And we ask ourselves, do linebackers matter? They do.
They do. They in fact do.
Really
Especially if your
do.
name is Fred Warner.
Yeah, especially, yeah. I mean, an argument could be made that he's the best player on the team. So, I mean, I know it's a lot of money, and I know people love to get on Twitter or at the dinner table and argue about cap space and how much money the 49ers are spending, but I think they have it figured out. I don't think that they're making deals that are going to just completely cripple any chances of winning a Super Bowl in the future. I think they saw his value and decided to give him what he deserves, like they've been doing a lot recently. So it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they've been here before. They know how to work the cap. And it seems like it's a pretty team-friendly deal. So just a little more details on that. So the extension money doesn't actually kick in until 2022. So in 2021, this year, he's still at 3.6 million. That's great. That's great for the team. And then even next year, it goes up to 8.1, which is still not that bad. Then in 2023 is when it really kicks up a notch, 18 million, and then it goes a little more up from there. But they did give themselves a potential out in 2024, and final 2 years are avoidable. So, I mean,
it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. They give themselves options like they always do. A lot of their recent contracts kind of look this way. So there's nothing to be concerned of or, from the outsider perspective to say that it was stupid. That's just totally overblown. So, and like we said, Warner is definitely worth it.
Yeah. And now they have the highest paid linebacker, the highest paid offensive tackle, and the highest paid fullback in the NFL.
And someone said, or people said that wasn't possible, that you couldn't do that.
They can't pay anyone. They can't pay anyone.
So, yeah, I mean, we're really pleased about that. Another thing that happened, well, obviously, all the rookies have signed at this point. Trey Lance, as they always do, right? Trey Lance, it came down to the wire. But, we were never in doubt. So glad they got that done. And, it's not going to be a distraction for camp. Yeah. The guys are ready to roll.
Right. And do you remember what Trey Lance's, what he signed was like $8 million for a year? What, $8 million a year? I don't remember.
You think I would have written it down? But that was the one thing I didn't write down, Angie.
We'll look up after. It's on the tip of my tongue. I should know all this stuff.
Someone in the comments, one of you watching, tell us how much it was. Are you asking for like what it was for this year or the full 4 years?
I swear I saw someone tweet that they better get some use out of him if he's making $8 million this year. That's what I heard, but don't listen to me. Obviously, I don't pay attention.
Oh God. It's like I did my research for this episode. I promise. Just overlooked that.
Well, because no one cares about the rookie contract.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, they're a given, right? It's like,
yeah.
I don't know.
You're good. We're good. They signed.
All right. Moving on, because we got a lot to go over today. Yeah. We want to talk about this new segment we have called Cap or No Cap. So for those of you who don't know what cap means, it's like a slang word that you say if you don't believe someone or you think they're bluffing. So
that's cap.
Yeah, that's cap. If Angie said she didn't like the Giants, I'd be like, that's cap.
That's cap. By the way, saw them kick the Dodgers' butt. Not really. It was 2-1, but saw them win on Tuesday. Great night.
yeah.
Still in first place. I believe they're winning right now against the Dodgers. So gang, gang. Anyway, cap or no cap. I love the Giants. That is not cap.
Not cap. So if someone says no cap, it means like, yeah, that's absolutely right. And they're not lying. So I'm going to go over a few statements here and we'll say whether we think it's cap or no cap. All right. So
cap. I'm just kidding.
So Warner says that Dee Ford looks great.
You want me to?
Yeah.
No cap.
No cap.
I saw him running around out there. It's exciting. I'm so happy for him. I mean, we saw what he could do that first half of 2019 and where it got 49ers during that time. So to have him back and Bosa, like, oh my God, dude.
It's delicious.
So awesome. I'm so excited for week 1. I hope they stay healthy during training camp and preseason and to see Bosa and Ford back together. Like, I'm cheesing. No cap. I say no cap, but what do you think?
I also say no cap. And I am going to echo what John Lynch said because he did say that he's cautiously optimistic. So I am on that boat. We can't get our hopes up too high with Dee Ford as we've seen. But I think, I believe that he's looking good, and that's a good thing for the 49ers. Even if he can contribute like a few pass rush snaps a game, like that could go a long way and it'll help the rest of the defensive line out.
Yeah. And you know what? They should, depending on how he progresses from now until the start of the season, the first few weeks it's a fairly easy schedule. So you'd think that they would be rotating him in and out like that.
Right. That's a good point. Before we go into our next one, we finally got the details of Trey Lance's contract, thanks to some of our viewers. So 4-year deal, $34.1 million, fully guaranteed. Signing bonus is $22.1 million. Cap hit for the season is $6.2 million. Thank you, Ryan Johnson. Jason, because he did respond as well.
Friend of the pod.
Hell yeah. All right. Going back to cap or no cap, next one. Kyle Shanahan said there's no quarterback competition. Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, you could go.
I say that is cap. It might be an unconventional competition where it's not so much competition at quarterback, but a plan that you have at quarterback. You already know that Trey Lance will eventually become your starter. It's just a matter of when. So, I think he gets into the technicalities, and with that, I think he's able to say with some truth that there is no quarterback competition. But, technically, we know that there is, right? So
right.
What do you think?
Cap, first of all, what does Kyle Shanahan get out of it if he comes out and says, there is a competition for quarterback and I have no idea who's going to start?
Right.
It just, okay, number one, firestorm, media firestorm.
Exactly.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine what would happen if he said that? Second of all, like, that just puts so much, I don't know what's been said to them behind closed doors. No one knows what the real situation is if we've learned anything over the past 2 years. That just puts so much pressure on a rookie quarterback and so much pressure on the guy that, a good 80% of people are fairly certain he's, 90, I don't know. A lot of people are fairly certain Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the starter week 1. So why are you going to come out and put any of that pressure on him or put him through even more than what the guy has been through this offseason? And also, we know that Kyle isn't always as upfront as people would like to believe he is. We went into this offseason thinking we were unsure if the 49ers were looking to upgrade at quarterback because he said they're always looking to upgrade at every single position. That was his cop out then. Turns out he spent an entire offseason trying to upgrade at quarterback and then went and did it in the draft. So I take everything with a grain of salt, and that's cap.
Exactly. Yep. That was a good one. All right. So after the first training camp practice a couple days ago, Shanahan and several other players said that Sanu looks great. Shanahan said he looked like the wideout he coached in Atlanta. Are we buying this, cap or no cap?
I'm saying no cap. I think people are underestimating how important he could be to this team. I was just, looking up some statistics from a couple years ago, that wide receiver core before they traded for Emmanuel Sanders, and then after they had Sanders, that veteran presence on the team, like their yards per game went up by 50, So it's not just him being a good receiver, it's that presence as well. And I think they really want that. I know Debo said that him and Ayuk have learned a lot from him already, and it's only been 2 days. So I don't know why he would say that if he wasn't. Like that would just be a random guy to hype up. I don't know.
Yeah, and even Trey Lance actually just today said that, Sanu has helped him in, in terms of his leadership and also just the way he prepares his body, or prevents injury and things like that. To me, it sounds like Sanu is probably the front runner for wide receiver 3, in which case we have to, prepare a funeral, RIP, for our River Craycraft, hype train, right? Because
never say never.
He's still my dark horse for wide receiver 3.
Stranger things have happened. Could you, dude, if he like solidifies a role on this offense, we are gonna have a pod where we just like get hammered and watch highlights. Like I don't even know. Like I'll be stoked.
we have to get him on the pod somehow. I think we've got to make that happen.
That would be awesome.
River Craycraft fan club.
So you see Mohamed Sanu taking that number 3 role? Is that what you're going with? Is that
I mean, out of everything we've heard, like it's sounding that way. Like, what? Oh, ooh, that's another
everything
name
we've heard. Sorry, guys.
I heard that Jalen Hurd is also looking good out there.
Yeah,
spry, as I like to say.
Spry, dude, he's looking spry. Okay, yeah, because that's, I mean, the 2 names we just mentioned for me, like those are the 2 that I'm excited to see.
Yeah,
duke it out for that. I mean, there are so many wide receivers they have to choose from, so it all depends on what happens in camp and preseason, but.
Definitely. But for now, I think Sanu has the upper hand in that competition. So that was the cap or no cap segment.
Love it. That was Steph's idea, by the way. Yeah,
I'm excited to do that throughout the season. But let's talk about Cam, since we were just talking about Jalen Hurd. I mean, okay, before we get into that, just a couple things. Players that went on PUP: Jeff Wilson Jr., torn meniscus. Tarvarius Moore, torn Achilles. They're probably out for the whole season, which a part of me was wondering, like, can they not go on IR quite yet? Or is it just like,
I mean, a meniscus is yeah, I have no idea. Don't talk to me about IR rules. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Also, players that went on the COVID list: Jaquiski Tartt, Emmanuel Mosley, and then a couple of players that were limited, as we heard: Bosa, D Ford, Jalen Hurd, and Javon Kinlaw. But limited is not so much a bad thing. A lot of those players are coming back from an injury, so
right, taking it easy.
It's good to have them back in any capacity and to know that they should be ready by week 1. I know Bosa said that today, so that's exciting. But let's talk about Jalen Hurd really quick, because as we said, he's looking spry. Today, Mike McDaniel said he hasn't seen any setbacks with him, which was like the big thing with him, like the last 2 years. So
yeah,
it's good that he hasn't seen any setbacks.
Yeah, it would be really awesome to see him get into a game. I'm excited for preseason to see him in a game again. Because that would be huge. I mean, it's deep at wide receiver, but it's like not that deep. We need some guys to step up. You feel me?
Yes. Oh, definitely. And like I think they will. I really think they're just banking on better quarterback play.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Did you see George Kittle said that he was like, hey, if he wants to play tight end, like he can come over here.
Yeah.
Like we'll get him some snaps at tight end. I was like, that would be awesome, but we like you, Kittle, at tight end.
Well, that's an interesting thing because, like, I thought the idea for Jalen Hurd, which we haven't actually seen him play an actual like NFL game besides like the preseason game he was in.
Yeah.
The idea I thought was for him to kind of be the Swiss Army knife. Like he could play some tight end snaps, he could do wide receiver, he could do running back. So like to me, that's how I always saw him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know Kyle Shanahan, like that's his dream. So I also forgot when we were talking about Sanu, did you see that he was doing punt and kick returns?
I heard about that. I also saw it today. Debo was out there. Yeah.
Get a little tricky.
It's weird. It's like, I don't know.
Well, how? They're like, let's try anything, probably.
Is like, is that a good thing? Or should we be concerned that they're just kind of putting anyone back there and testing them out?
I don't think it should be a concern that they're testing things out. I mean, when you only have 2 certain wide receivers, it's kind of scary to see them thinking about using them for returns. But
yeah,
like I know some people have been saying, how do we know that Brandon Aiyuk can't return punts or kicks? Because we've never seen him do it. But I get both sides, you know. Like a touchdown on special teams is cool, but like 3 receiving touchdowns in a game is even better. So
yeah, I mean that's true. I would have liked to see them prioritize that a little bit more in the off season and in the draft. But
yeah, that was a big thing that you kept talking about. They need someone to return.
I have not shut up about it.
Yeah. You wanted a returner and you wanted a slot receiver.
Yeah, 2 and 1. Yeah. So we'll
we
see.
are.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what shakes out there. A couple other things. Bosa is looking a little bit leaner as well, as we saw from some of his pictures. And he kind of confirmed it today, actually, in his presser. Yeah, someone asked him about it. He said, like, yeah, like he's taking care of his body a little bit more. He's on a stricter diet, you know. Not that he wasn't on a strict diet before, but now he's just kicked it up a notch, I guess, which is just interesting because his new girlfriend makes like cookies and shit. So it's like,
but she's like also a TikTok star.
Really? A TikTok?
Yes, that's literally her claim to fame.
Really?
Go look up her TikTok. She probably won't be disappointed.
Okay.
We'll say that much.
Noted. All right, we'll do that after this.
But it's funny to see someone that you literally already thought of as a freaking monster, like show up to camp in even better shape, especially after a torn ACL.
Right.
Is he human? Like, dude, if I tore my ACL, do you know what I would look like? Like I would not have 0.8% body fat, that's for sure. So props to him, like to show how seriously, you know, he takes his role and I mean his career. So we're excited.
And it seems like he did kind of also say that, you know, he's still strong. He still has the same strength. His legs are still strong. So it kind of you know, deflected some of that concern that, you know, fans might have had seeing him a little thinner.
I did. Like, I was like,
yeah, no.
I was like, why is he skinnier? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, used to seeing him huge.
Yeah. I want to see him like this, like behind Russell Wilson, you know? But now he's going to be like, I feel like he was very like grizzly bear before, like very fast, going to get you. Now he's like a cougar, like a mountain lion, like ripped, fast, will murder you. Watch out. Watch your back. Sneaky. That's how I feel.
He is the smaller bear out of the two. He has always said that. So, I mean, that might still work.
Now he's the even smaller bear.
Right.
That's like he should change his name too.
Okay. But now that we're on the discussion of weight, let's talk about someone who gained a little bit of weight, but we're happy about Dick Glinchey.
Dick Glinchey. I wish
He-
we could throw up a peach emoji right here.
Dick Glinchey. So one of the things with Mike McGlinchey last year is that, he was a little too lean. He came into the year, he lost some weight, and it seemed to me like it did affect his play. I mean, on pass rushing snaps in particular, there were some times where we saw him get bullied around a little bit. And to me, it looked like that was because like he just didn't have that leverage, right, to hold some of those bull rushes. So, I'm excited to see him put on a few pounds and, see what he could do with it. It should solidify that side of the line a little bit more.
Yeah, it's crazy how like other than maybe wrestling and fighting like in the UFC and boxing and stuff, like how big of a role weight plays in the NFL and differently for each position. Like we saw Nick Bosa is smaller, but if you ask me, I think he'll be better for it. And now McGlinchey has gained weight and hopefully he will be better for it. I remember back when Colin Kaepernick was quarterback, and I mean, this probably also had a lot to do with the fact that other teams got to know him and know some of the things he was going to do. But it seemed like when he kind of bulked up, that was when his play started to decline. So it's just interesting to me that weight affects each position and each player like so differently.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, how do you keep track of like, dude, I'm like this, so I could not be an NFL player.
And that's the thing, like maybe last year Mike McGlinchey thought him getting leaner was like gonna be a good thing, and like
right, he's like, I'm Mr. GQ, they will not get past me.
It just kind of backfired on him, I guess, a
Yeah.
little bit. But
and you know what, I think everyone wants to see him succeed, obviously, since he's on the 49ers, but I mean, the guy has just had a rough go at it with the fans. So there's literally, if you go on Twitter and type in Mike McGlinchey, the first GIF is Mike McGlinchey is not good. Like, so I'm hoping this year we can have a Mike McGlinchey is good GIF.
Yeah, he deserves some flowers. So, hopefully, he could piece it all together. I think, he's been with the team now for a while, and with better offensive line pieces, I think they'll have some good chemistry. So excited to see what they do as a whole.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I was referring to him by the wrong name. It's Mike how are we saying
it?
At
first I said I was trying Thick Glinchey, but then that is just too hard to say. So I just went for Mike Thick Glinchey.
Just Thick Daddy. We'll go with that.
Okay, I'll leave that to you.
Okay, we'll just keep going.
And just to be clear, it's thick with 2 C's. Okay?
Yeah. Get it right.
Obviously. So another player to talk about here, Marcel Harris. He was seen taking some snaps at linebacker, it looks like, which is interesting. It's not like there's someone hurt at linebacker where he had to fill in for someone, right? So
right.
So I don't know.
I think that's just D'Amico seeing what he can do, seeing what his options are. I mean, especially after a year like this last year, you never know what's going to happen with injuries too. And so it's good to know who can play where and if they can. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, and he is somewhat of a hard hitter too, right? So, and he is aggressive. Sometimes as a safety, he might be a little too aggressive. Where he doesn't really always take the right angle, but maybe, trying him out at linebacker, that might work for him. Again, they might just be experimenting, like you said.
Yeah.
Something to keep an eye on, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is super interesting.
Yeah, and then so Aiyuk, he's looking good. I didn't expect anything less, honestly. He's making catches everywhere. I'm excited to see how he does with better quarterback play, either from Jimmy or Trey Lance. He should make another step in his career.
Like last season, we didn't even get to see his full potential between whoever the hell was at quarterback and,
Right.
his little setbacks with injury that he had. I just want to say last season I drafted Ayuk for my dynasty fantasy football team, and everyone was like, oh, like bold choice going with the rookie. You know how many people have asked me for a trade this year for him? And I'm like, no, back off. You're an idiot.
That's a good
It's
pick.
not my fault. Yeah,
That
it was
was a
my
good
sleeper
one.
pick. Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit of a homer pick, but
I mean,
I just have a feeling, man.
it worked out. I mean,
Yeah, it worked out. I know Kyle knows how to pick those wide receivers.
it's like if there's any
We won't talk about that.
position if there's any position to stay away from on the 49ers for fantasy purposes, it's the running backs because like there's just so much uncertainty. They switch around every week kind of. It's like they go with the hot hand, so that's my only
Exactly.
advice. But Ayuk, yeah, that's a great choice. So hopefully he's a league winner for you.
Last year I had picked up JaMycal Hasty after he had that like one really good game.
Yeah,
I picked him up on waivers. I don't think they used him again. I was like, oh, here we go. Like, I'm going to make up some ground. I'm going to get out of last place. No.
Yeah, it's
but that's
so
a good point.
So
yeah, this is now a fantasy pod.
No, we should, when the season starts, we should have a fantasy segment. But
yeah, I'm down. Do you have a fantasy team?
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
you play with your friends or what?
Yeah, I play with my brother, and then also Jason has me on one.
Oh yeah.
App one.
Yeah, I was like, this is too much.
It was a lot. I mean, like I've never had a roster that large. I don't think, but it's interesting. I've also never done Dynasty, so that's my first Dynasty league. So it'll be fun to,
It's fun. I literally just started playing fantasy last year.
Oh,
Loved
really?
football forever. Yeah. Never played fantasy.
Okay.
Started with a dynasty team. So I'm like all in, dude. Now I'm like, oh, you want to just do like like what is it even called when it's just like not a dynasty, just a normal league?
Yeah.
Like now I'm like, oh, you want to do a normal league? You like I'll be in 7. Like I don't care. But yeah, I don't even remember what we were talking about now.
Ayuk.
Oh yeah,
it was Ayuk. But yeah, we're pretty much.
He was going up. He was going out. He was making catches everywhere day one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And like you said, last year, with the quarterback play, even with the quarterback play, I would say last year he still did pretty well. It's like you can see that this guy is really talented. So it's like that if he just has average, above average quarterback play, he could be something really special. 1,000 yards is not out of the picture for him, I don't think.
No.
Another receiver I wanted to talk about was Deebo Samuel. He said he's taken up hot yoga. We stan a man who does yoga because I love yoga.
How did I miss that?
How did you miss that?
Have you done? I don't know, because I love hot yoga. Have you done hot yoga?
I haven't done hot yoga.
Oh, dude, go do some hot yoga. Get back to me about just how like pure and like reset you feel. Like
how
there's nothing like it.
You feel.
Yeah, you know what it is though, right?
Yeah, like it's pretty much like you do yoga in like a sauna, in a large sauna, basically.
Yeah, so it's like literally, I think like where I've gone before, it's usually like 90 to 95 degrees in there. And so, yeah, you're literally just in like downward dog with like sweat dripping down your face. It seems like a great way to stay active, like on a rest day, like if you need something and keep your body nice and stretched. And
yeah,
I don't know. It seems like a good thing for Deebo to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he said he's doing it twice a week, and he's doing it to work on his durability and flexibility. So that could go a long way for him. I mean, you can't, like just things like that. Those little things could really, make a difference in, some training or prep for the season. He also said he's putting an emphasis on working on his deeper routes. Any thought about that?
I think it was funny how when he said that, didn't he say that he has caught deep routes before and like that people need to watch the film?
I didn't catch the presser, but I did catch that one part. So is that what he said?
Yeah, he said that, and I think that's, first of all, hilarious. Second
Spicy.
of all, my thoughts on that. Hell yeah, work on those deep routes. Like, do you say routes or routes?
Routes.
Okay, I say routes too. Okay, work on those deep routes. Become even more of a Swiss Army knife than you already are. Like, they don't know if you're running, if it's a screen pass, or if you're gonna go, like, the more the better for me. Yeah. But does he need to work on it? Do you think he's not a good deep ball receiver?
No, I wouldn't say he wasn't a good deep ball receiver. Like, he's a good route runner. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's his way of telling the team, like, hey, or Kyle, like, hey, like, I'm working on this. I could do this. Like, just so you know, don't forget. Not that I think Kyle forgot, but we saw last season with the type of usage that he had. Granted, some of that may have been due to some of the quarterback play that they had. They kind of needed a little support blanket there. And
that's what I was going to say. Like, how often are they throwing deep balls?
Right. Exactly. And even
I could probably I could count on my hands, you know? So, and wait, why would he be practicing deep routes if they don't throw deep routes?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is like, maybe he knows
something
that
we don't.
Deeper routes are coming, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's going to be a big part of the playbook going forward, I think. So maybe he's doing that in preparation.
We need to have someone make a Photoshop, right? And it's going to be like Game of Thrones style, but instead of Jon Snow, it's going to be Debo, and it just says deep routes are coming. Like, winter is coming, but just deep routes are coming.
Okay, we can work on that.
Okay, thank you.
We got that done.
I need a new phone background. But yeah, that's interesting. That's exciting. We stand Debo, if I've ever. I met him at training camp. Angel, sweet dude.
Hell yeah. And okay, first, before we go into any Jimmy talk, I wanted to talk about Kinlaw really quick, because they did say that he had a setback with his injury, or that like there was some swelling going on with his knee.
His little knee.
Yeah, so I have like really big hopes for Kinlaw in his second year. So to see that he had a setback, I'm a little like, I'm not concerned, but you know, I hope there aren't many more setbacks, and I hope it's something he can recover from pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I saw him doing drills today. We're recording this on Thursday, and I mean, he looked like he was moving around pretty well. It didn't look like he was like taking it too easy. So that's promising. But I know people love really, really analyzing Kinlaw just because of, you know, how we got him and everything, how we were able to draft him. So.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. We got the Twitter tizzy coming up. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about Fiery Jimmy. And, you know, he's like, who
talk
is
of the
he?
town.
Who is he? Like, he's over here swearing. In fact, when he was talking about Sanu, he dropped an F-bomb, and you know, it just seems like, to me, he reminds me of, like, you know, when you're new at a job and like you kind of feel like you can't be your full self, or like, you know, you're a bit of a shell. And then when there's someone else new that comes along and you're no longer the new person, you know, you kind of feel like, okay, like, I got this.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
that's a really good way of putting it.
That's the energy I'm getting off of him.
Yeah, he's been there. He knows what's up now. He's not the new guy on campus anymore. And from what we've seen so far, and just the few interactions we've seen, it seems like he is really, you know, taken to Trey Lance and kind of taking him under his wing. And that is just awesome to see, given the off season that he had, that we as fans had, that the front office had, and dealing with that, you know, all of that drama and all of that controversy of who was going to play quarterback. So I think there was so much pressure on that coming in, and to see them just like laughing and taking pictures, pointing at each other, it's just like they're kind of like, you guys don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
Like, we're cool.
It's like the media keeps asking either one of them, like, is it
Is it
awkward? And
awkward?
it's like, stop asking, like, you're awkward. Like, you know,
Ow,
like, it's
I
just,
just hit my head on my wall.
it's just, it's freaking weird. It's like, we're doing
Yeah,
just fine. Like, I
you're
don't know.
making it awkward.
Exactly.
Ryan asked, do you think he's trying too hard? I don't
Um,
know. It's weird
yeah,
to
it's hard to
say. It's
say.
hard to say because we've never seen him act like this before. So maybe it's just him being himself. I mean, he does date porn stars, so the guy's got a little fire to him. You know, he's not just like going home every night and sitting in his room staring at a wall. Like, I'm not surprised that he curses. Am I surprised he did it in front of the media? Maybe, but I think your explanation was perfect. I think he's just like, there's a little weight off from my shoulders. Maybe he feels like that.
Yeah, and I think that could be a good thing for him. Like that it's not like he's letting go and not caring anymore about like, playing well, but I think it's more so he just feels more comfortable, and that could be a great thing. So,
I was about to say that can only be good,
right.
you know,
Yeah, cuz
and obviously we want whoever is playing quarterback to be comfortable and happy and win a Super Bowl.
yeah, exactly.
And we don't care who it is.
Yeah, exactly. I really don't at this point. Like I really do not care. I just want discussions about it to stop. And they just won't. Um anyway, so going back to Jimmy though, like we did see that he struggled today a bit.
A bit.
Um
I threw a pick.
he threw a pick.
It
He
wasn't
says
5 picks,
it wasn't
but
5 picks, so maybe he is improving.
yeah.
But no, like I mean, he threw a pick. It seemed like a lot of people didn't report on that. Like I actually just heard that from like fans who were actually there to see it. But I don't think I
Jake
saw.
Hutchison did report
Did
the
he?
pick.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Oh, that's good. But yeah, like it seemed like most of them were not, trying to mention that. And
Right. How weird, right? Because 2 years ago when he threw, was it a preseason game that he threw five picks in, or was it camp?
no, it was camp.
It was camp. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. He threw 5 picks in camp. Well, I mean, five is a lot. But it was like the biggest deal in the world. And we're like, oh my God, like Jimmy sucks. Like this year's going to suck. And then, it turned into what it did, the 2019 season. But I just think the compare and contrast, like, I feel like before the Super Bowl, there was so much more media coverage on him and if he was going to do good or not during that training camp. And then like compared to this year, it's kind of like, it's not as the attention to detail, every little thing he's doing like it was before.
Right. And I'll also mention it's really tough to gauge like how much of this is just the defense looking great, or is it that the quarterbacks really like struggled? Like which one is it? Which one came first,
Yeah.
Um so because we did hear that the defense played well. I heard Verrett had a few pass breakups today. So I mean,
Yeah.
how do you handle that? Like as a fan, like what are you supposed to think? Like
Well, that's the fun part about training camp is that you're playing against your own team. So like
yeah,
anytime someone does something good, it's like, yay, but also what the hell?
yeah.
Like why aren't you breaking up that pass?
Mhm.
Why aren't you catching that? It's like if the defense is doing good, you're going to look at what the offense did wrong, and if
Yeah.
the offense does bad, you're going to look at what the defense did good. I don't know. I think I just got that mixed up, but you get what I'm
I
trying to
know,
say.
yeah. I know what you mean. It's weird.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, why do we put so much pressure on training camp? Imagine, like, I don't even know. I can't think of something to compare it to, but it's just practice, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean,
you know?
and if you're gonna make mistakes anywhere, have it be at practice. But like once we get into preseason, once we get into, actual games, you know, there isn't room for error at that point, and so we'll see
Right.
how each of them do then. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but it looked like Trey Lance did struggle a bit today as well too. So
Yeah. Jimmy
it
was
wasn't just Jimmy.
right.
Even though Jimmy did throw the interception, I don't know if Lance threw any, but
It
still,
was
it
a
seemed like
tipped pass that like another defender caught. I do know that much. So, which
okay.
is like honestly what I feel like most of his interceptions used to be.
Yeah, yeah,
Like a lot of, I remember defending him so much. Like that was not his fault, you know.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I know he was today on the day that both of them, didn't perform as well as day one. He was 6 for 11, and Trey was 5 for 10, I think, or maybe 6 for 10.
6 for
Trey
10.
was, and 5 for 11 Jimmy was. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe the defense just balled out today, but
Yeah,
we'll never know.
which would be a good thing. I mean, like you said, the 2019 season, it was the same thing. I mean, Jimmy threw the 5 interceptions and, he played well, but also the defense was really good that year. So, who knows, maybe
Right.
we're
So we
getting a
should
little
see
bit of that.
interceptions as good things in training camp.
Yeah, I think so.
It means the defense
It's
is going to
tough,
ball
but
out again. Yeah.
yeah, that's what we'll tell ourselves. um Before we get into the Twitter tiz, we have one question from Ryan Johnson. Do you have a dark horse player that you think will have a standout year?
Kinlaw, is he a dark horse?
Why'd you take mine?
Uh, really?
Yeah, I
Dude,
was gonna
our
say Kinlaw. I
minds.
mean, but I'll think of something else. But go ahead.
I say Kinlaw just because, like we brought up earlier, and I know we're going to talk about here in a minute, there's just a lot of pressure on him, as there is with any high round draft pick. But yeah, I don't think people are I think people are probably expecting him to have like the same season that he did last year, and I think he's going to elevate that a little bit
Oh yeah, absolutely.
because it's his second year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And last year, he didn't have like the same support that he's going to have this year, assuming that Bosa and D Ford are going to be healthy, and with all the depth pieces that they added to
Yeah,
the
we have
interior.
not seen the full potential of this defense since
Right,
2019, and even then, it wasn't at its full potential with D Ford out. So
right, right. Let's see. Who would I pick? Have a standout year.
I mean, our last pod we talked about who we thought was going to surprise us. I said Jimmy G,
Yeah. So why'd
but
you
that's
say
not.
Kinlaw?
But is Jimmy G a dark horse?
No. See, that's a tough thing. It's like when I think dark
Right.
horse, I'm thinking like a backup kind of player, or like, someone who's
Yeah.
like not as doesn't get as much hype. I'm gonna go with Elijah Mitchell.
Okay.
And because I've said this before as well, I think with as soon as Jeff Wilson went down with his injury, everyone thought, okay, this elevates Trace Sermon's floor, right? Which it does. That's still true. But I think it helps Elijah Mitchell as well.
Yeah.
He'll get more
Take one
snaps.
out of the mix,
Yeah,
then
exactly. He'll get more snaps sooner. I think he'll be involved in the passing game a bit. Um, I've said it before, so I wish I had something at the top of my head that was a little
I
more
like that pick.
exciting. But yeah,
We usually plan what we're gonna say, Ryan, so don't do that anymore.
yeah. We usually have an entire script that we memorize. Okay. Oh, he was gonna say herd. Herd
That's
is
a good.
another
I
great
was
one.
gonna say that. Yeah, that's a
It's
good
just
pick.
like I have a hard time like saying he'll have a breakout year because we haven't seen
We
him.
we only know disappointment.
Exactly, we haven't seen him play at all. All right, so let's get into the Twitter tizzy. All right, I think it was like what, a couple weeks ago now, because we haven't recorded in so long, but like people were getting back into the discussion of running back Deebo Samuel, the glorified running back. Like I hate this discussion. Because one, him his usage last year to me And even the other times that he's, played as he has before in like an extension of the run game, to me that doesn't reflect who he is as a player. It doesn't reflect his skill set. It doesn't mean that's all he can do, you know. So to me he's not limited. He's a very talented player. It just so happens to be the roles that he's put in. And as we've seen, he plays well in those roles. We don't, like you were saying, we don't throw deep a lot. So, we have a lot of underneath things, and that kind of seemed like Samuel's bread and butter. But by no means is that his only skill set.
100%. And so kind of like backstory, obviously this is the Twitter tizzy, so people, and it's not just one person at all. Like, this is something that has been brought up repeatedly, that he is a quote unquote glorified running back. And the word glorified is like so condescending, I feel, because so what? Like if Kyle Shanahan has found something that he's good at and like wants him to keep doing it and it's resulting in wins, then what more can you ask for? Personally, everyone would like to see him be used more down the field, and he can, which is to the point what you were saying. I'm just like, basically there's only so much you could say about this, but he can do that. But it doesn't mean that all that he can do is be a running back, which is basically exactly what you just said. So I don't even know why I'm talking.
But yeah, you put it into better words.
And he's not a glorified running back because he can do things that a running back can't do.
Right.
Like, he's much more, like, I don't know. To me, he's more agile and can run those quick short routes that he is going to have a lot of yak after. But that's something that most running backs can't do. I know they can catch the ball, but his route running is different than a running back's is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. So let's try to stop doing that. Kyle, if you're listening, Kyle Shanahan, like, just, we beg you to, use him downfield a little bit more so we can end this discussion.
Well, and, him saying that he's been working on deep routes, like, just goes to show that he pays attention to what people are saying about him. I missed when he said that, if he said that because a reporter asked him about it, or I don't know if he just brought it up because he saw it on Twitter, but I feel like he gets a chip on his shoulder a lot and he plays well when that happens. So maybe do keep calling him that.
Yeah, sometimes it works. All right.
But yeah, using him as a receiver would be huge.
Right, yeah.
Ryan just commented, please use Debo as a receiver.
Yeah. Please.
Good point. Great point.
Beg of you.
Yeah.
All right. The next.
He is a receiver. Okay, I'm done.
He is a receiver, exactly. The next Twitter tizzy. So the other day, like when someone said or reported that, sorry, I'm so far. When someone reported that Kinlaw had a setback, someone saw that as an opportunity.
Matt Miller.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna call him out.
Yeah,
okay. He's the one guy we will call out.
Yeah.
Okay. He deserves that. Okay. So yeah, Matt Miller decided it'd be a good time to say, what did he say? Like, how's Buckner doing or something like that?
Yeah, how's DeForest Buckner doing? Like, we freaking care.
Right.
He's not on our team.
We don't care. Get the fuck over it. It's just it's so old. It's so childish. And like, Kinlaw is not even that bad. He doesn't deserve this, like, to be attached to Buckner's name every single time. It's like, I'm tired of it.
People love to dwell on the past, especially on things that they think were a bad decision. Like, I know a lot of people think that they should have paid Buckner, but would we have been able to sign, like, would you rather have Buckner, or would you rather be able to do everything that the team has done this past offseason?
Right.
As far as signing players.
Really all it comes down to.
Yeah. So it's like, I get it, but I don't think like it's done and over with. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Like what is possible? What is putting all this pressure on Javon Kinlaw gonna do? Like what is the point? What is the reason? I would hate if I were him and every time I did something bad, someone was like, "Oh, DeForest Buckner," like that's jacked up.
I mean, the good thing is, it seems like Kinlaw, like, you know, is able to block out the noise. Like he
just
never
walks around eating squirrels.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he has no idea what's being said about him. He's too busy with squirrels in his mouth, which is another discussion. But
which another reason I hope he just balls out this year.
And I think he will. Yeah. So but yeah, that kind of concludes everything we wanted to talk about today. And we're right at the 1 hour mark. I am so impressed by us today because we were so punctual. We literally started right at 2 p.m. and we're finishing like pretty much right at 3. So we got this shit down.
Now that training camp is here, Seth, and the season is underway, how often are we releasing these pods? Should we let them wait and we'll let them know?
Okay, because last time we asked people,
you don't know.
Well, I remember last time we asked people how often we should record. I think they said like twice a week. I was like,
no, I think they said weekly, which I'm down with.
Weekly. I'm down for weekly. Yeah,
I'm down. I think that people want it.
They want it.
They want it.
Usually this hiatus like will never happen again because it was literally only because I was moving. And and by the way, so like after I listened to the last episode, I want to correct a cringe moment or something I said. Cause like I think I said like, yeah, like I haven't really been on Twitter a lot and like people were like asking me where I was. It was just one person.
Stop. I did not know. I did not realize
like I listened back and I was like no one literally no one like you know when you're
sorry guys, like all my fans, I know you were wondering, you guys were flooding my inbox.
like you know when oh my god, I lost my train of thought, but like it was just so cringe.
You listened.
So I just had to correct that. It was literally just one person who asked. And
well, if you're listening to this, please DM at Stragosaurus and ask her, where you been, Loca? That's a Twilight quote, by the way. Go watch Twilight. It's on Netflix
dude,
now.
It is back on Netflix, or not back, but it is on Netflix. I'm seeing a bunch of Twilight TikToks now, so that's nice.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna go watch it.
Oh my god! Well,
I'm just kidding. I already did.
Oh my god! All right, well, guys, thank you so much, Ryan. You've been the best today. Like you've been watching and commenting this whole time, so we really appreciate you and everyone else that tuned in. Like we said, we'll be recording way more often in the future and as the season goes on. So yeah. Until next episode, guys, thank you so much for listening. Peace.
Bye. Wait, what did she do? Why am I still live? Am I by myself?
So I left the.
Oh my god!
I left the broadcast and I was like, no, I have to end.
Here, I was like, wait, am I by myself?
Let's try that again. All right.
I'm crying. Bye.
Bye.